Please do not suggest the fusion combinations in the comments. There is a poll in the description. I've probably offended a lot of people now, and now it's no longer French, it's Russian. Why do I do this? Goodness gracious. Are you hooked yet? Is that how you intro a video? Did I do it? Did I finally do an intro? Oh, goodness. Alright, so hello all you beautiful people of the interwebs. I am the Zodiac Lord, and I'm back with more fusions. Yay. I don't know why I needed a dramatic pause there, but it was there. So, yeah, some quick life updates before we get into this. First though, you might notice that the screen of this is a little bit weird. You might notice that you can see all of Photoshop now, and not just the window with the drawing in it. And that's because I kind of screwed something up with OBS. I ended up doing display capture rather than window capture, which I don't. I usually do window capture, and I had that like preset with the right size and everything like that. So I screwed that up. And there'll be a part in the video, like about 2-3 minutes in, where it will like cut black, and then you'll see that it framed properly. So yeah, I apologize for that. That was my fault. But hey, you can kind of see what brush I'm using, which I'm gonna make a video eventually, which is talking about that brush. I keep forgetting to do it. It'll happen, I promise. I don't know. Maybe I'll make that some kind of big special deal kind of thing where it's like Zodiac reveals all of his secrets. But yeah, so just that and like this has happened before actually, where I've done this kind of thing, but whenever I edit it and I just crop it out so you can just see the window I want you to see, it for some reason it's of lower quality. So I'm like, you know what, you just can see my entire lovely screen or something. So yeah, anyway, let's talk about fun stuff, shall we? A quick life update thing that I'll try to make it quick so that people who don't really care don't have to sit through a long update sort of thing. But I'm back in school, yay! So that means significantly less videos, most likely. I'll still try to keep up with my weekly stuff, although I will tell you that there might be scenarios. I'm just going to kind of warn you, if there's ever a week where there's not a corruption or a fusion, like there should be, it's just because I get caught up in other things in school and all this other kind of stuff, and I just don't think, and sometimes I might forget to make an update video for it, or it might slip my mind. I mean, this would actually, believe it or not, it almost totally slipped my mind. I had some struggle to get this one done, because at one point I was working on it, and then I stopped, and I was going to go to Google Drive to get the little dancing picture, and my Wi-Fi went out, and that was a very frustrating thing, because my Wi-Fi's been in and out all week. I think it's about fixed by now, hopefully, fingers crossed. But it made me frustrated, so I ended up like giving up, and then I ended up finishing it later that night, so everything kind of worked out. But yeah, so if you ever see any kind of like week or whatever where it's not there, it's just because I kind of just need a weird quick break or whatever. I promise you that if this series is ever to actually end, or I'm supposed to go, or I end up going on a long hiatus from it, I will tell you guys. But, you know, I don't think me having to miss it every now and then because life stuff, I don't think I need to announce it. But anyway, so let's talk about the fusion, because this one was an interesting one. So finally, after a million years, Jasper finally gets to fuse with somebody. Release the balloons, release the confetti, it finally happened. Technically, you could say that, like, oh, well, Ruby hasn't fused either, but since Ruby is a part of Garnet, she technically has, just in 3-way fusions. So Jasper, for the longest time, was the only canon gem in the poll. Obviously, I don't include every canon gem because I just can't handle that. But she was the only canon gem who had not fused at all. So this is a big deal. She finally gets to fuse, and it's with Garnet, strangely enough, which is kind of ironically fitting. The gem who's never fused fuses with the permafusion. But anyway, So this was interesting, and it's funny because I picked the gem for them was Spessartine, something like it's pronounced something like that. Now everybody's gonna correct me on how to say it. I just call her Spess. But I picked this gem, and it's actually kind of funny because if you remember my last gem, the Topaz and Garnet one was it was pronounced something. But it's funny because if you do research on Spessartine, it's often mistaken for the gem that I fused Topaz and Garnet with. And also, this gem is also a Garnet, just so you guys know. It also is included in the Garnet family. And for some reason, I was having a weird time picking a gem. I couldn't figure out what I wanted. I knew I wanted something that was either a reddish orange or a more vibrant red than a Jasper, or more vibrant orange, I mean. And this one I thought was pretty, and I thought it would fit. And also, again, like the research, because I do my research, I thought it was rather fitting in a weird kind of way, because Spessartine, however you pronounce it, it treats like lactose intolerance, all that good stuff. Mentally, it has a great stone for those who lack confidence. It helps the wearer recognize his strengths and allows him or her to start on their true life path. It also is said to stimulate the analytical parts of the mind. It can also bring about a great feeling of calm, which to me fits a sapphire ruby Jasper fusion rather well. Maybe that's just me. I just thought it kind of was fitting in the sense that sounds like all three of their personalities, strengths and confidence. And then I thought, if like there was a supposed arc where Garnet and Jasper fused for some reason, it probably could make sense if it was in a way of Garnet showing Jasper her true life path of not being angry. I don't know. But I don't know. It just felt weirdly fitting to me just reading it and all that good kind of stuff. Also, I've been looking for the longest time to try. I was thinking about the longest time. I wanted to do a fusion that had two mouths. And I don't know if this was the best one to do it with, but I decided I wanted to go ahead and do it because I've wanted to do that kind of thing for the longest time. And I was like, hey, you know what? Why not? So I decided to do that with the Garnet Jasper fusion. So that's what that is. I gave her two mouths just because I can. Because I would imagine that Spess has great potential to be very unstable, depending on the circumstances, or it could be very stable. You never know. But probably on almost like not what's a good word for it? Like kind of if you say the wrong thing, you'll set him off kind of thing. I also the dance pose is actually rather funny because I actually went with an actual dance this time, which is unusual for me. So I actually thought about it, and for some reason, I just pictured that like Garnet and Jasper could totally their dance could totally be the tango, and I don't know why. It popped in my mind, and I was like, let's let Garnet and Jasper do the tango, and that's what they've done. So that was rather fun. It was funny whenever I drew it the first time because I drew it one way. And I was staring at it, I'm like, I don't really like something about Garnet's leg or whatever. I don't really like. But then I flipped the pose around, and I was like, wow, this looks really good from this angle. So I decided just like looking at it, I was like, well, there's no color, there's nothing that I'd have to switch around necessarily. So I was like, you know what, we can just leave it like this. And so that worked out. So yeah, I just imagine them doing the tango. As for like the personality of their fusion, I'm not entirely sure because there's just so many ways it could go, I think. That might be something more for you guys to speculate, I would assume, because I'm not entirely sure. It could go many different ways, in my opinion, because it could be like, they could just be a very strong kind of, like, just strong and a little bit high-head, but a little bit more on the strong, silent type kind of side, if leaning on Garnet more. Or they could be a very split personality kind of fusion where they're strong and like they kind of switch between. They can either be like super impulsive and super calm, or like they're mysterious, like they don't talk very much, so you don't know whether they're gonna snap at you and destroy you, or if they're fine and they're not gonna, and they're chill. So that's almost kind of what I thought with that. I mean, maybe the in the mouths could give some conflicting signals, you know, because there's two of them. But yeah, so that might be something a bit more for you guys to speculate in the comments if you'd like to. You're free to have your speculation, your theories on what their personalities would be like. I'm also going to try and talk a little bit more because there's a lot of fan art that I've needed to catch up on post, because I make a goal to try and put as much fan art as I can throughout my videos, and I'm very behind. And since my birthday is coming up, I know I'm going to get some art pieces for my birthday. There's many people who've alluded to it, so if that happens, I don't want them to have to wait years for their fan art to be featured. So, you know, so there's probably hopefully going to be a decent amount of fan art in this video, I hope. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed our Garnet Jasper fusion. Tell me what you think. Do you think this was a worthwhile wait for Jasper's first fusion, or do you wish it would have been with somebody else? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Just don't fight people. That's all I ask. And please go vote, because Jasper's the next host for 2 weeks from now. I'm very, very curious to see who she gets to fuse with, because it could go in many directions, I think, just based on what I know. And she's like one of the only gems that have infused, so she's like total fair game for literally everyone except for Lapis. So yeah, I'm very interested to see how those polls end up working out. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video, whatever it may be. Zodiac out.